You ever had this passion that you just ever wanted to share with someone? Or have you ever seen someone with such a passion that they try to share that passion with you and make you love that certain passion as much as them? Well, I've come to experience that in a little bit of ways throughout my life. It's quite amazing to see people with such a passion that they share all about it and know all about it. Like, I could go on and on about movies that I really love or movies that I absolutely hate and give super long talks on why I don't like any of them. But it's nice to see other people's passions for things that I am not so passionate about. Well, one particular gaming series has kind of done that to me. That being the Forza Horizon series. Before we get into this, let's first give you a little history about the Forza Motorsport series. So the Forza Motorsport series, or the Forza series, is a collection of simulation-based racing games developed by Turn 10 Studios and is published with the help of Microsoft to make it an Xbox and Microsoft exclusive only. The first Forza Motorsport was on the original Xbox and was released on May 3rd, 2005 in the United States and in Europe on May 13th, 2005. As for Forza Motorsport's first game, it received quite a lot of praise. It received a Gold Sales Award from the Entertainment and Leisure Software Publishers Association, or ELSPA, indicating the sales of 200,000 copies in the United Kingdom and 100,000 copies in North America. Forza, in case you don't know, actually stands for force. It's Italian for the word force. And since that success of the first game, they've gone on and on to develop more and more car racing games, making them better and bigger with each release and also when it moves over to a next generation of consoles. But then after Forza Motorsport, it appears that Turn 10 Studios and Microsoft wanted to take a stab at a different kind of racing game. Open world. Enter Forza Horizon. The game was initially released on the 23rd of October in 2012 for the Xbox 360. The game revolves around this imaginary festival called the Horizon Festival, where it's this huge festival basically where there's a lot of people come to party, to dance, to have fun, but also for the main attraction, the cars. Bunch of high-end, nice, super expensive, luxurious cars come about and compete together in races, and the people come to experience those races or drive those cars themselves. So basically you see what it is now, right? It's a fictitious festival around cars that all these people come to. Pretty much is a competition between all of these racers. If you win competitions, you move up until eventually you get to the finale, basically the Horizon Championship race. Now a little backstory. How did I come across the Forza Horizon games? Well, I was playing a car racing game, another popular racing series, Need for Speed. I was playing the 2012 Most Wanted. So while looking at any other Need for Speed games and other racing games, I came across Forza Horizon, and I was just like, what is this? Looking up some videos, it looked like it was a big, huge open world driving game where you can drive a bunch of these cars and other things, and that looks pretty fun and interesting. So I decided eventually, after some thinking about it, like, yeah, I want to go ahead and give this game a shot. So I bought it off Amazon for like 30-something bucks. I got this. It's the limited collector's edition. Also, I am come to find out that technically speaking, this is actually my first steelbook I ever had. I have a bunch of steelbooks over there now with some movies, but technically speaking, this was my first ever steelbook. So, I kind of forgot. I thought those movie ones were my first, but no, technically this was. While playing these games, because there's a few of them, there's 3 out right now, and there's the 4th one coming this October. I can tell from playing these games that the people who make this game really love cars and try to offer you the same experience, like, trying to give you that experience of driving these cars in this beautiful open world environments, and also giving you the thrill of racing in just these other ways. What I decided to do is I am going to review every single game. Now, of course, I won't be able to review the 4th one until that comes out this fall, so what we're going to do is just going to start with the whole series. I have played all 3. I played the first one completely through, I played the second one pretty much completely through. And what I mean by completely is like I haven't done every single bucket list challenge or every speed zone or whatever. I'm just saying like I've done pretty much to the championship thing, to the last finale race. I haven't completely finished the 3rd one, but I think I played it enough to give it a review. I'm going to first start out with part 1 being the first Forza Horizon game, the one that started it all.
Welcome to Horizon.
So the first Forza Horizon game came out on the 23rd of October in 2012. And when it came out, it was quite a hit. Many of the reviews have given it quite a high score. Metacritic gives it an 85 out of 100. Eurogamer gives it a 9 out of 10. Game Informer gives it an 8.5 out of 10. GameSpot gives it an 8.5 out of 10. Basically scores around that, 8 to 9 out of 10s. Let's get right into the meats and greets of the game. The Horizon Festival is just a place where you can go to race, and if you get high scores or win those races, you'll move up and up until eventually you get to the championship. Now, it is completely fictitious, so don't think that this is based off like a real event. This is just a fictitious thing. So when you start out in the game, you're going to start out driving a Dodge Viper, which is basically, I guess, the car on the front cover, I guess. You're going to be driving to the Horizon Festival, and also this gives you a chance to get a feel for the game and what it feels like, and also to look at the beauty and detail they put into the game. The first game is set in the state of Colorado, and you can tell from driving that it's pretty much very much inspired by the Colorado landscape. Mountains. You get down to the Horizon Festival to earn a spot into the Horizon Heats, which is basically just a way for you to earn a spot into the championship event. Then once you're in, you compete in a bunch of racing events, showcase events, street races, etc. that gain you popularity and basically get you to racing in the finale. Let's go through each feature of the game. Number 1, the open world. You have a very large open world for you to explore, and a bunch of different kinds of roads. There's long straight roads with very little turns that you can drive down in very fast cars in like the Bugatti. There's some dirt roads you can drive on with your off-road or all-wheel drive vehicles. There's some winding roads, and it is modeled very beautifully. There's lots of flatlands, but you can also drive up these roads that lead to the top of a mountain, etc. There's basically a bunch of different landscape kinds that are within all this open world space, and it is huge. Looking at this map, it's quite a lot of roads for you to drive on. I think there's about 180 something roads, and you can just drive around in this open world space. Not only is there a variety of different roads, but also the world they create is pretty dang beautiful for that time. According to Wikipedia, apparently there are 65 variants of terrain present in the game. And since the festival of the first game is set basically in Colorado, you can tell that it's very inspired by the Colorado landscape. So yeah, the open worldness of this game not only adds to the fun that you get to drive around basically anywhere you want, but also with the different kinds of roads, and basically the landscape looks pretty with all the mountainous terrain and other things in the game. So the open world is pretty much fantastic for this level. The cars. There is a lot of cars you can drive in this game. I don't know the exact number, I think it's over 150. Whether it's you want to drive a muscle car, a sports car, a hypercar, a supercar, an old classic, there is plenty of them pretty much in this game for you. And collecting them all is going to be quite a while and a little bit of a challenge, so be prepared to play a lot. You can obtain cars through the auto show that you can buy through the credits that you earn in the game. Depending on the car you buy, it can vary in price. So yeah, the car selection in this game is pretty fantastic. Number 3, the racing. There are a lot of races in this game. From street racing, where you race on the street and have to avoid any traffic that's on the street, from actual events that's where you race in certain kind of vehicles. All the races in the game pertain to a certain kind of track. Some are off-road races, some are races where you perform a few laps, some are sprints where you go from point A to point B. Some races involve it's the supercar races, or it's the all-wheel drive races, or it's the classic muscle car races. It ranges from all of that. Now, racing is the main way that you earn credits, at least one of the main ways that you can earn credits, which can go to either upgrades for your car or buying new cars in general. There is a lot of assists and difficulty settings that you can do. There's traction control, stability control. There's a driving lane you can put on the road that is blue when it means go, and when it's red that means you brake. But if you turn those off and make the driving more simulation and also the racers you're competing against a little harder, then you'll get a bigger payout when you complete the race. So basically it gives you an incentive to make the game harder. Also, something that you may not know is that Forza is known for a feature called Rewind. So this feature is very useful, especially for new players. I would say you should definitely have this. Rewind, if you're racing along and then let's say there's a turn you come up and you drift out and then crash, you can just press the rewind button and it will rewind to a certain point. Say start here. It's no, I want to start back a little more. I'll go back a little more, press Y again. And it'll say start here, and you can start there and basically attempt it again. Some may consider that cheating, and yeah, I can see why. But I think it can be very helpful for those who are new players. And in the game, there's championships. Championships are basically a series of races And each championship will lead off to the next championship and eliminate other, basically, contenders in the Horizon Festival until eventually it builds up to where you earn a spot into the Horizon finale. Now, something else that's kind of fun is that at the Horizon Festivals, there are celebrities. Basically, these are people who are famous at the Horizon Festival for their driving and for their completion in, like, championships and things. Basically, you're competing against them too. And if you beat them in the championships, they're going to challenge you to a head-to-head. And if you go to the head-to-head and win, you get their car. So that's another great way of you gaining cars. So yeah, it's a race competition, and when it comes to races, you will have plenty of it. There is plenty of races here. Next is showcases. So showcases are basically races too, but they're more popular. They're more of a way for you to gain publicity. Showcase events are basically normal races, except you're not racing other cars, you're racing basically another vehicle. And there's quite a few events like these in a showcase. You'll race a P-51 Mustang, you might race a biplane, you might race hot air balloons, even though that wouldn't really work in real life, but still. And if you win these showcase events, you get to keep the car. And in my opinion, the showcase events are some of the most fun because it's just the most cool to watch. Next is skills. In this game, they introduce skills, and basically what that is that to gain popularity at the Horizon Festival, you have to show off your driving skills. The way you get skill points is by doing very spectacular driving and racing, doing drifts, causing wreckage, doing burnouts, etc. The list goes on. And if you combine all these together, your skill point basically builds, and the multiplier builds, and basically all the points you're getting are being multiplied by a certain number, and that's going to be your skill point. Now, however, if you're doing one of these skill chains where you're doing all this cool stuff, but you actually crash your car, you lose all the points. Customization. This game has a customization to a whole new level. Unlike the past Need for Speed games where I play, where I can basically just upgrade some certain aspects, like tires and chassis, this one is more of a customizable upgrade. You can paint your car a variety of colors, either glossy or matte. You can paint certain parts of your car colors, like either only the hood or the rear view mirrors. You can add in bigger engine, you can add in some kits, you can either upgrade or downgrade the car, you can add decals and you can add lettering, you can add flames, place them anywhere you want on the car and have big or wide. This game's customization for cars is really top notch. You can make your cars pretty much look like anything you want, and gives you all the specs and stuff to it, and how your car compares to the car it was before after you upgraded it. Whether you're going to paint it, decorate it, or upgrade the mechanical parts of it, this game's customization feature is honestly really one of the best ones of any car game. There's also something else you can do when it comes to racing. You can do head-on-heads. If you drive behind a vehicle that's just driving around the area, you can challenge them to a head-to-head. And then you two will race towards a destination, and if you win, you just earn credits and bonus XP. Now, with all three Forza Horizon games out, how does the first one set apart from the rest? Well, I will say that it has one thing that I would say the other two don't have as unique of, and that is personality. The first Forza Horizon has quite a personality to it. It's more of the party, being free kind of feeling. You know, rockin', partying, dancing. There's the sense of party, there's a sense of celebrityness, just that style, basically what I've said before. This one, in the sense, has the best, I would say, the most significant personality that I think the other two games have not had, and I don't think the fourth one is going to have either. Now, there is one problem I do have with this game, and it's a very big problem I have with it, and I still have, and that honestly is kind of a big problem with the other games too. And that problem is this. Progression. Okay, so it's not really more about the progression of completing a game, it's more about what we kind of want to do in this game, and that's get all the cars. Because honestly, there's quite a lot of cars in this game. I mean, the next Forza Horizon game, Forza Horizon 4, plans to have over 450 cars. The problem is that, especially with the first game, is that getting some of those cars, whether either if they're one of the most hyper cars or one of the rare classics, they're really expensive in the game. There's some cars in the game that can be worth millions of credits. In each race, you earn less than 10,000 credits per race. So you compare that with the prices of the cars in the game, it's gonna take you forever. And that's, I think, is done on purpose because there is an option for you to buy tokens with real-world money. Basically, you spend real-world money, you get tokens which can be used either to upgrade your car or buy new cars. I think the progression to get every single car in the game is so slow that they give you the option using real-world money to buy tokens in the game to get the cars instead of having to work towards it with your credits. So I did spend a good amount of my real-world money to get all the cars in that game, and I regret it now. I haven't done that with the other two Forza Horizon games. I stick strictly to the in-game credits you earn rather than the tokens that you can buy. If you really want to collect all the cars in any of the Forza games, you're gonna be there a while, and I mean a long while. And it's really like the car progression and getting your collection of cars it's really more of what annoys me. It's really slow for my taste. I don't want to play the game that long to get all the cars. So yeah, the progression in the Forza Horizon game, the first one, is for car getting is really slow because you earn only a few thousand credits, and there's cars in there, worth millions. I think there's one in there that's worth 10 million credits. So if you wanted to get that car, you would have to work your butt off in that game doing races and stuff. It was bad. And honestly, I think that the credits you earn in the game need to improve. And hopefully maybe in the next Forza Horizon 4, that this will go up to a point where it's pretty much tolerable. But yeah, that was my biggest problem with the first game, was that getting all the cars would take forever, and it wasn't time I was willing to spend, so that's why I spent real world money. And I don't recommend you do that. Don't spend real world money on it, it's not worth it. And the other kind of complaint I have in the game is that, and this is kind of a personal thing for me, in the game, is that really all you can do is drive in the game, really. It's a car driving game, of course, so you're going to drive cars pretty much all the time, but that's pretty much all you're going to do, and after a while that can get boring. And that's fine, because that's not what the game is about. The game is about car racing, car driving, doing cool things with cars, drifting, wrecking, high speed, etc. If you're looking for a game that is more than that, besides just driving cars, this is not going to be the game for you. If you want something like that, you're probably going to need to get something like, I guess, Grand Theft Auto 5. If you want a game where you can do anything, get Grand Theft Auto 5. There's one other small gripe I have with the first Forza Horizon game, is that the world is not much alive. I don't feel like I'm driving in a world, I feel like I'm driving in a desert area. Because there's not a lot of cars that drive around, and also, there's no people around. They're not sitting in the outside, you don't see anyone in the buildings. There's the only place you see people dancing around or doing anything is at the festival. So the towns and the other places feel very deserted and feel very like if the rapture happened or something. It's a minor gripe, and really probably nobody really cares about that, but that's something I noticed. Other than that, I really have no major problems with the first Forza Horizon game. There's some nitpicks. One thing, if you compare it to the others, is that the first Forza Horizon is a little more restrictive on where you can drive, but that's because it was made for the past generation of consoles, so I'm kind of forgiving on that because it was in a past generation, and this was their first game. Overall, I had a lot of fun with the first Forza Horizon game. I think the first Forza Horizon game at the time was probably the best open world driving game you could possibly get. With so many cars, so many customization features, so many races to do of different kinds, whether street races, event races, or head-on-heads. Forza Horizon is pretty much a fantastic game in every way. Out of 10, I would probably give it an 8. And I still think the game holds up today, even compared to the other ones. It's not made for everyone. If you're looking for a game that's more than just driving cars, this is not the game for you. But if what I've said so far is enough to get you interested, I'm thinking you're going to be very pleasantly surprised with this game, and overall think it's just fantastic almost in every way.